Hey guys, welcome back to the layout. This is Dan here as always, and this is going to be a special video, kind of as a sneak peek, or a preview rather, of what I've been up to lately. What I've been doing lately has been a little project of mine that I've saved for quite some time, kind of, getting some research, kind of trying to figure out how I can work out the kinks, and really this project has been kind of a challenge, but it's definitely a fun project to do, and the results are really good. And it's something I've obviously wanted to do for quite some time, but I just never seem to get around to it, and there's always kind of been some issues that I tried to figure out, and it was just one of those things I had to kind of just jump in and do it to figure things out. And once I did, once I got everything figured out, it's actually relatively easy. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I've been working on in this little video to kind of get you up to speed, and you kind of, like I said, kind of show you behind the scenes kind of what I've been doing lately. So we'll go ahead and get these locomotives into the frame here so you guys can see. So what we have here is a set of all three of my Athearn RTR X-Union Pacific LTEX SD45T-2 lease units. And these are all Rent-A-Wrecks, nicknamed Bandits, LTEX Bandits by rail fans and myself. You guys obviously have seen these locomotives before. I've shown them in layout updates. Probably I think 2 or 3 layout updates ago I showed these, but since then I didn't really do anything else to them besides weathering. But recently, with this new project of mine, I've been able to go back, fix the problem that I wanted to fix, and also kind of work on a few other things, and also finish the detailing and weathering process. So now they're pretty much done at this point. Like I said, the first unit we're going to look at is 9965. This is the I think the rarest of all 3 of them, because this is actually the hardest to find. This is the one everybody ate up. The other units, which you'll see in a minute, kind of they sat around for a little while longer, but all 3 of them are just as rare, like together in a set. But 9965 is obviously the rarest. So since you guys last saw this, what I've kind of been doing is trying to consider how to fix an issue that I've had with the Athearn tunnel motors for a long time. And it's one of those things that just like it scratches at you and it bugs you. And what it is simply the tower gears. Let me show you what I mean. So here we have an Athearn RTR SD40T-2, not an SD45T-2, but they have the same feature basically on the back radiator section here. And obviously, as all you guys know, on a tunnel motor, the idea with the tunnel motor and why they built these was, instead of having the radiator section at the top of the unit where it was going through tunnels and snow sheds collecting hot exhaust gas and basically shutting down the engine because the engine would overheat, you had the air intakes relocated to the bottom of the unit to be taking in the cooler, cleaner air at the bottom of the tunnel. And it basically solved the problem, and they were a huge success. You guys all know the story, obviously. But on the Athearn RTR units, this is stock right out of the box, no modifications. What you have to deal with is, like I said, the tower gear right here. And this is obviously the piece running up from the truck. This is where the gear drive and everything is. And then at the top you have this clip which connects, clips on down, and then holds the truck in place. Oops, sorry about that. On the model. But the issue is, on a real tunnel motor, either a 45T or a 40T, these grills are completely see-through. You can see right through them. There's nothing there, and you can see right through them. But on the model, on the other hand, you have this big bulky tower gear and this drive system sticking right in the way. And the problem is, and this is something that's bothered me over and over again, because on a tunnel motor you can see right through those, and I like that feature too, by the way. And this is another kind of one of those things. I wanted to have realistic models of tunnel motors, and this is what pushed the issue. But I was getting so fed up with these tower gears, because, you know, like I said, it's very unrealistic, and it almost makes the model look toyish in a way, and it was bothering me. So it was up until recently that on the Diesel Detailer forums that someone posted a topic about his custom built Athearn RTR SD45 T-2, and what he did basically was he modified the rear truck during the building process of this unit. He modified the rear truck of the unit so that it would still fit on, but he eliminated the tower gear and the worm gear, so you had the full see-through effect on this back radiator section here. And I looked at the article and I saw the pictures, and instantly I was like, that's what I gotta do. That is what I gotta do. Because, I mean, like, I can't stand that big bulky tower geared, and I wanted to fix that. I wanted to have the full see-through effect on these grills so that the units would look more realistic. So after I saw that article, basically I got a hold of the guy, started talking with him a little bit. We messaged back and forth between each other, and he kind of gave me some little tips and tricks on how to do this. So what I ended up having to do was I basically took one of my least favorite SD45 T-2s in my collection, and I basically experimented, took the thing apart, and kind of looked over the rear tower gear to kind of try to figure out how I could modify it so that obviously I could have the truck in place and everything and it wouldn't fall out. Because the big issue here, there's actually two issues, and I'll point them out just real quick. Obviously the tower gear and the drive system is what's powering the rear truck. If you eliminate that, you eliminate the rear traction. You have no power on this rear truck, and it's basically a dummy. So it's front wheel drive only, and that greatly reduces the pulling power of the unit, which is the major downside to this conversion. So it's kind of the biter of this project, because obviously you're going to lose all the power to the rear truck, and it's just going to be floating. It's just going to be a dummy truck. And the second big issue, obviously, is that the truck is held in place by the tower gear because of this clip. If you eliminate that, the truck has nothing that's holding on to it. Now, yes, you do have the wires, the electrical pickups running from the bottom of the truck into the motor, but those aren't going to hold the truck in place. The truck is just going to basically dangle out, and it's just going to fall out every time, and you're going to have to deal with, like, every time you pick up the unit, you're going to have to, like, basically hold the truck in place so it doesn't fall out. And that's just a pain, in my opinion, especially for someone like me who moves these models around all the time and transports them and takes them to shows and stuff. So I had to kind of try to figure out how to rectify this problem. Obviously, going back, before I get into that though, going back to obviously the loss of traction or the power on the rear truck, I kind of was able to get past this issue because I modeled the modern era. Tunnel motors are rare in the modern era, and usually, like with units like these, and like I was saying with my set of 3 Rent-A-Wreck SD45Ts here, usually they're rear trailing units, and obviously if it's coupled to several units, really that's not going to make much of a difference in terms of pulling power. The unit's really just there for show anyways. But, I mean, obviously it's still operable, but you only have one powered truck, and it greatly reduces the traction. But when it's mixed with a whole bunch of other units, you kind of really don't notice that. And it kind of solves its own issues there. Now, what I see as the downside, however, if you're modeling the actual era where the tunnel motors were in full bore and they were actually running in sets, this might be an issue, because what's happening is that you basically have a whole set of units that only have front wheel drive, and you basically have to lash up more units than you need to pull, like, even just a 30 car train. You need at least like 3 or 4 up to 5 units just to pull that, and that's what I've experimented with, and that's the downside. But like I said, me modeling the modern era, I kind of can get past this by throwing in together a whole bunch of other units, so it kind of solves that problem for me. But like I said, if you were to do this kind of modification and you're modeling the era with this issue, then the problem is obviously you'd have to have more units in a lash up to try to compensate for that missing traction on the one unit. So that's the issue. Now, going back to the tower gear, what I had to do on the modifications was try to figure out how I can have the truck stay in place, still be able to swivel freely, and not fall out once I do the modification, because once all this is gone, all this is loose and it can just fall out. And what I had to do was basically do a styrene modification, and I tried to experiment with this, and I figured it out and got it down to a science basically. And it was just a matter of basically taking styrene, building it up to the deck level, and then taking little bits of styrene and basically having them so that they're sitting on top of this platform, and they basically ride and swivel and they hold the truck in place. And then what I did, once I had all that built, I took another piece of styrene and basically laid it over and covered up all the gaps, obviously, for where the trucks would be, for where the tower gear would come up. I had to cover up all those holes and basically plated them over. Because obviously, again, on a real tunnel motor, you can see right through that and there's nothing there. It's just an open space. So I had to kind of solve that. But once I kind of got the basic gist of it down and figured things out, I got it down and was able to do it, and the modifications are great. So now that I've explained what I'm doing here, let me go ahead and show you my modified tunnel motors. So what we have here, the first unit, which is LTEX 9965, this was the first unit I did in the conversion, and this was actually probably the hardest to do. And I'll go ahead and move them up here for you real quick. And we'll go ahead and zoom in. After all the modifications were said and done, I removed the tower gear, I plated everything up, remounted the truck so it's not going to fall out. This is the after result. Boom. Complete see-through grill, just like the real tunnel motors. Isn't that awesome? And I mean, there's no comparison. I can take this and you can compare them right now. Which is better, the modified rear truck or the stock with that big bulky tower gear in the way? Yeah, exactly. There's no comparison. And I gotta say, it was probably one of the best things I could have done for these units. So all three of these SD45T-2s at this point have the modification. I just got the last one done today, and I have them on this test track here, making sure they all run. And as you can see, obviously they all do run, and it's definitely really nice. And I'm glad I was able to do that. So going back to what else I did on these units, with the Athearn units, once I got the grills and everything done, all the truck modifications were done. What I did was I went ahead and installed the sanding lines to the trucks, as you can see. This is something I wanted to do with all my units, and I only just now got around to it, saving it kind of till after I got all the work done. And I was able to install these sanding lines and get the trucks done, got all the detailing done, and finished the weathering on all three of these units. So, I mean, the modifications and everything else are all done at this point, so the units are officially complete. And I'm definitely happy with the results. Like I said, they look great. So I'm definitely happy. So here we have 9965, the first one. And then the next unit, which is LTEX 4912. Again, the same modifications. I added the sanding lines, redid all the details, cleaned it up a bit. I did relubricate the front trucks, and then took apart the motors also and relubed everything so that they all run flawlessly now. And so that's another thing I did. Obviously, I finished the fuel tank details. The trucks are nicely weathered. All the weathering and everything else is done. So this is they're all good to go. And then the last unit is the 4972, the simplified patched version of one of these units. And again, with all the same modifications, sanding lines, new details, completely re-weathered and everything. So this is what I've been working on lately, guys. So I'm really happy with the results, like I said. And hopefully one of these days I can actually make a how-to video on how to do this modification. Because it really does. It really helps to spruce up these units. So I mean that's pretty much it. And like I said, once I kind of got it down, I was able to figure things out, and it went pretty well. So this is the after results. And like I said, I just wanted to show you guys kind of what I was working on lately, and I think it's pretty good. And I think they all came out really good. And the SD40T-2s in my collection will probably be next for this modification. But in the meantime, the 45Ts are done at this point. You gotta love those see-through grills, though. So I'm definitely happy. But that's pretty much what's on the bench right now, guys. Like I said, I'll have some more stuff to show coming up here. And like I said, I'll try to make a how-to next time I get a tunnel motor on actually how to do this modification. But for now, I just wanted to show you guys this. I hope you liked the video, and until next time, take care.